As the huge span of the universe spreads out before the eyes of the onlooker, a heavenly embroidery of stars, worlds, and nebulae enhances the enormous material. Inside this heavenly orchestra, a significant feeling of quietness penetrates the ether, enclosing the universe by a shroud of peacefulness. Against this scenery of enormous glory, the ethereal types of divine music float like murmurs on the inestimable breezes, winding around a melodic embroidery that resounds with the actual embodiment of creation. In the midst of this heavenly scene, a presence starts to show, a presence that rises above the limits of reality, transmitting with an unspeakable quality of magnificence and elegance. It is the voice of the heavenly, resounding with a delicate yet telling tone that resonates all through the universe, blending the actual texture of presence with its significant reverberation. As the divine music expands together as one with the vast dance of stars, cosmic systems, and universes, the voice of God rises up out of the profundities of endlessness, its reverberation conveying the heaviness of forever itself. With each word expressed, the actual universe appears to bow in respect, as though recognizing the holiness existing apart from everything else, the second when the Maker decides to address his creation with useful tidbits and sympathy. In this enormous venue of presence, where systems impact and stars are brought into the world in the cauldron of grandiose fire, the voice of God fills in as an encouraging sign and direction, enlightening the way of humankind in the midst of the tremendousness of the universe. A voice talks not exclusively to the profundities of the spirit, yet additionally to the actual pith of presence itself. A voice that reverberates with the immortal insight of the ages, reverberating across the territory of endlessness. As the heavenly music arrives at its crescendo, the voice of God occupies the void of room with its divine reverberation, encompassing creation in its all-heavenly hug. It is a snapshot of glorious magnificence and greatness, as the actual universe appears to pause, breathing fully, expecting the words are going to be spoken. Thus, against this background of enormous marvel and heavenly wonder, the stage is set for the heavenly disclosure to unfurl, a disclosure that will reverberate all through the ages, molding the fate of humankind and enlightening the way to otherworldly illumination. For at this time, in the midst of the glory of the universe, God talks, a delicate murmur that resonates with the force of 1,000 suns, reverberating across the immense territory of endlessness. Heidel, divine summons, a call to mankind to tune in with open hearts and brains in the terrific embroidery of presence in the midst of the orchestra of stars that embellish the night sky. There repeats a call that resounds through the hallways of time. Tune in, mankind, with open hearts and brains. Hear these words as a delicate breeze that mixes the profundities of your spirit, welcoming you to delay and notice the voice of the heavenly. For in the peaceful quietness of your being, there lies a significant insight ready to be uncovered, a reality that rises above the limits of existence. My cherished kids, let not the racket of the world overwhelm the murmur of my presence, nor the interruptions of life dark the magnificence of my message. For I address you now, not as people dispersed across the tremendous territory of the earth, yet as a shared perspective joined in reason and goal. Hold nothing back from accept my words and allow them to reverberate inside you like a harmony struck upon the strings of endlessness. Amidst disturbance and vulnerability, let my voice be an encouraging sign, directing you through the murkiness and enlightening the way to reclamation and effortlessness. Throw away the shackles of uncertainty and incredulity and allow confidence to be your compass as you explore the always changing flows of presence. For I'm with you generally, a resolute presence amidst Bedlam, offering comfort and solidarity to all who look for shelter in my hug. Tune in, mankind, with open hearts and psyches, for the opportunity has arrived to stir from the sleep of detachment and aloofness. Allow my words to be a clarion call that rouses you from smugness and motivates you to activity, for the world is needing your light, your adoration, and your sympathy now like never before previously. Ascend, darlings, and notice the call to be problem solvers in a world that yearns for recuperating and change. As you stand by listening to my words, let them act as a mirror that mirrors the magnificence and potential that dwells inside all of you. For you are not only humans limited by the imperatives of existence, yet divine creatures blessed with endless insight and imagination. Embrace the reality of your heavenly nature and allow it to be a directing power that shapes your contemplations, words, and activities. Be that as it may, notice this admonition, mankind, to whom much is given, much will be expected. Listen with your ears as well as with your souls, and allow love to be the core value that administers your cooperations with each other. For eventually, not abundance or power characterizes your value. However, the profundity of your sympathy and the degree of your thoughtfulness towards your kindred creatures. In the calm snapshots of reflection, let my words reverberation inside you like a melody of holy messengers singing gestures of recognition to the sky. For I address you now, not as a far-off divinity situated upon a privileged position of judgment, however, as a caring guardian contacting embrace you in an everlasting hug. Tune in, mankind, with open hearts and psyches, and let my adoration be the directing star that leads you securely home. Title: Divine Affirmation. Delighting in the excellence of creation, my cherished creation, as I look at the world that I have affectionately created, I'm loaded up with amazement and marvel at its stunning excellence and mind-boggling plan. From the superb mountains to the quiet waterways, from the energetic backwoods to the tremendous seas, each edge of the earth bears the engraving of my affection and imagination. In the fragile petals of a bloom and the smooth trip of a bird, I see impressions of my endless love and care for each living being. Every piece of sod, each murmuring breeze sings of my presence and my relentless obligation to the prosperity of all creation. From the littlest bug to the mightiest monster, I treasure each animal that wanders the earth, for each is a demonstration of my heavenly creativity and effortlessness. I have designed them with care, permeating them with extraordinary gifts and abilities to enhance the woven artwork of life. In the orchestra of nature, I hear the reverberations of my affection resonating all through the universe. The stir of leaves in the breeze, the delicate patter of raindrops on the earth, all discuss my delicate fondness for the world and its occupants. In any case, it isn't just in the frame of mind of nature that my adoration is uncovered. It is likewise in the basic snapshots of day-to-day existence, in the giggling of youngsters, in the thoughtfulness of outsiders, in the obligations of kinship and family. At these times, my adoration sparkles brilliantly, enlightening the world with its glow and empathy. I care for all of you, my dearest kids, with an affection that has no limits. You are valuable to me, appreciated, unfathomable, and I celebrate in the magnificence of your reality. I see the battles you face, the preliminaries you persevere, and I'm with you continuously, directing you, ameliorating you, and lifting you up when you vacillate. Try not to uncertainty the profundity of my affection for you, for it is just about as huge as the sky and as persevering as time itself. I know every hair on your head, each thought to you, and each thump of your heart. You are rarely alone, for I'm with you in each second, strolling next to you on your excursion through life. As you relax in the wonder of my creation, make sure to treat it with love and regard, for it is a gift shared with your consideration. Be stewards of the earth, watchmen of its excellence, and bosses of its prosperity. For in focusing on your general surroundings, you honor me and exhibit your adoration for all that I have made. In this way, my dearest ones, revel in the excellence of my creation and realize that you are adored unimaginable. May the miracles of the normal world help you to remember my presence and my getting through adoration for you, presently and consistently. Reflection on humankind's excursion. In the immense embroidery of time, woven with the strings of endless minutes and bunch encounters, there exists a story that rises above the limits of individual lives, a story that is basically as old as the actual stars, yet as youthful as the beginning of creation. It is the tale of mankind, an account of wins and battles, of delights and distresses, of development and advancement. Furthermore, as the modeler of this stupendous story, God looks at the unfurling show of mankind's set of experiences with a look that enters the actual profundities of the spirit. From the beginning of civilization to the current second, humankind has left on an excursion of disclosure, an excursion that has prompted the investigation of far-off lands, the victory of the obscure, and the quest for information and insight. En route, there have been snapshots of incredible victory, minutes when the unyielding soul of humankind has taken off to unbelievable levels, breaking liberated from the shackles of obliviousness and dread. However, woven into the texture of mankind's set of experiences are additionally the strings of battle and affliction, minutes when mankind has staggered and wavered, wrestling with the obscurity that prowls inside the profundities of the human heart. From the cinders of contention and unrest have arisen stories of torment and misfortune, helping humankind to remember the delicacy of presence and the fleetingness of natural fortunes. But in the midst of the back and forth movement of mankind's set of experiences, there sparkles an encouraging sign, an expectation that rises above the transient idea of common undertakings and enlightens the way to recovery and recharging. For in each victory and each battle there lies an illustration, an example that coaxes mankind to search internally, to ponder the deeds of the past, and to gather shrewdness from the embroidery of human experience. As God reflects upon mankind's excursion through the passages of time, he recognizes the versatility and backbone of the human soul, the ability to persevere even with affliction, to drive forward chasing after honorable standards, and to transcend the imperatives of mortality to contact the very sky themselves. But he likewise sees the indiscretion and the delicacy of human instinct, the penchant for insatiability and desire for pride and vanity that so frequently misleads mankind. Thus, with a voice that reverberations across the ages, God urges mankind to regard the examples of history, to gain from the errors of the past, to embrace the ethics of lowliness and sympathy, and to take a stab at a future that is directed by shrewdness and exemplary nature. For in the embroidery of human life, each string is woven with reason and aim, each second pregnant with the chance of reclamation and re-establishment. Furthermore, as humankind remains at the junction of fate, balanced near the very edge of another period of probability and potential, God broadens his hand in kinship and direction, offering his timeless insight to all who might tune in. For in the impression of mankind's excursion there lies the way to opening the secrets of the universe and finding the genuine reason for presence, to stroll as one with the heavenly, to embrace the excursion with open hearts and brains, and to take a stab at a future that deserved the tradition of humankind's past. Title: Divine Hug. Genuine love and sympathy for mankind in the huge field of creation. In the midst of the whirling cosmic systems and the dance of divine bodies, there exists a vast expanse of adoration and sympathy connecting with embraced mankind completely. Hear these words as a delicate murmur carried on the breezes of forever. I love you, dear kids, with an adoration that exceeds all logical limitations, a sympathy that rises above your flaws and slip-ups. From the snapshot of your commencement, you have been supported in the arms of my adoration, sustained and appreciated with a fondness that outperforms all comprehension. However you might stagger and fall along the way of life, realize that my affection stays unflinching and immovable, a signal of light that directs your means and enlightens your way through the obscurity. Let not the shadows of uncertainty and dread dark the brilliance of my affection, for an adoration knows no circumstances, no impediments. An affection sees past the surface, entering to the profundities of your spirit, where the genuine quintessence of your being dwells. Embrace the reality of your inborn worth, darlings, and allow it to be an ointment that relieves the injuries of self-uncertainty and frailty. However you might feel shameful of such endless fondness, realize that my affection knows no bias, no separation. It is stretched out to all regardless, embracing the holy person and the heathen the same in its warm hug. For according to the heavenly, every spirit is valuable and meriting affection and empathy, paying little mind to past offenses or current conditions. In snapshots of despondency and pain, go to the wellspring of my adoration that streams inside you, filling you with the feeling of harmony and solace that outperforms all comprehension. Allow it to be a wellspring of solidarity and comfort in the midst of preliminary, a shelter from the tempests of life that fury around you. For in my adoration, you will track down the boldness to confront affliction with elegance and flexibility. Also, as you explore the intricacies of human connections, let love be the core value that administers your cooperations with each other. For similarly, as I have cherished you, so too are you called to adore each other, with an adoration that is patient and kind, pardoning and sympathetic. Allow your hearts to be available to the requirements of others, and let your activities be an impression of the endless love that streams from the heavenly heart. Realize that my affection for you knows no closure, darlings, for an adoration rises above existence, coming to the farthest corners of the universe. An affection existed before the beginning of recorded history and will persevere forever, an everlasting fire that consumes brilliantly in the haziness. So rest in the confirmation of my adoration, dear kids, and allow it to be a directing light that leads you securely home. Title: Divine Call for Solidarity. Embracing agreement across mankind, my dearest kids. In the embroidery of humankind, I see the strings of variety woven complicatedly together, framing a mosaic of societies, convictions, and customs. However, in the midst of this rich woven artwork, I call upon you to regard my heavenly supplication for solidarity and amicability, rising above the limits that partition you. Across the tremendous region of reality, I have looked as mankind has wrestled with the difficulties of division, difficulty, and struggle. The walls that different you, be they walls of race, religion, ethnicity, or philosophy, have time and again filled in as boundaries to grasping, sympathy, and empathy. However, hear me now as I address the profundities of your spirits. I ask you to destroy these walls, to connect the gaps that partition you, and to embrace the inborn solidarity that ties you together as one human family. For in solidarity lies strength, as one untruth's harmony, and in adoration lies the ability to change the world. Let not the shade of your skin, the language on your tongue, or the name of your God be wellsprings of division and dissension. All things considered, let them be images of the delightful embroidery of humankind, each string one of a kind and valuable by its own doing, yet woven together to make a work of art of unmatched magnificence. Embrace variety as a gift, an impression of my limitless imagination and unlimited love for all of you. Amend the lavishness of your disparities, for they are the actual texture of what makes humankind so remarkable. Allow variety to be a wellspring of solidarity, a wellspring of intelligence, and an impetus for development and change. However, don't stop at simple resilience or acknowledgement. Make progress toward something more noteworthy, something nobler. Embrace certified figuring out, sympathy, and regard for the people who might look, think, or accept uniquely in contrast to you. Look for shared view in the midst of the huge scope of your disparities and allow compassion to be the scaffold that associates your hearts and brains. For in solidarity, there is power, ability to recuperate the injuries of the past, ability to construct a more promising time to come, an ability to make an existence where all are treated with nobility, uniformity, and equity. Allow solidarity to be your directing star, enlightening the way ahead as you venture together towards a common fate of harmony, success, and shared prosperity. As you notice my call for solidarity and concordance, recall that the excursion towards an additional bound together world starts inside the profundities of your own hearts. It starts with an eagerness to tune in, to learn, and to genuinely cherish. It starts with a promise to seeing the humankind in every single individual you experience, no matter what their experience or convictions. Thus, my darling kids, let this be your consecrated mission, to embrace solidarity and amicability with great enthusiasm, to rise above the limits that partition you, and to assemble extensions of understanding and sympathy that length the broadness of mankind. For in doing as such, you honor me, you honor one another, and you prepare for a more brilliant, more amicable world for a long time into the future. Direction towards uprightness, and the embroidery of presence, woven with strings of light and shadow, God stretches out his heavenly direction to humankind, offering a guide to uprightness and ethicalness. With a voice that reverberates with sympathy and shrewdness, he begs mankind to embrace the immortal standards of consideration, compassion, and pardoning, for in these ideals lies the pith of genuine uprightness, as for in these virtues lies the essence of true righteousness. Graciousness, similar to a delicate breeze that strokes the spirit, has the ability to mellow the solidified heart and elevate the tired soul. It is a reference point of light in a world covered in murkiness, a directing power that leads mankind towards solidarity and sympathy. God calls upon humankind to rehearse thoughtfulness in each cooperation, to stretch out some assistance to those out of luck, and to develop a feeling of liberality and generosity towards all. Sympathy, the capacity to see through the eyes of another and sympathize with the reverberations of their aggravation, is a gift gave to mankind by the heavenly. An extension interfaces hearts across the gorge of distinction, encouraging comprehension and empathy even with difficulty. God urges humankind to develop sympathy in their souls, to tune in with open ears and open hearts, and to embrace the intrinsic nobility and worth of each and every spirit. Pardoning, similar to a mending medicine that mitigates the injuries of the past, is the foundation of honorableness and ideals. It is a freeing force that liberates the spirit from the shackles of hatred and sharpness, permitting humankind to embrace the extraordinary force of compromise and recharging. God calls upon humankind to rehearse absolution in their lives, to relinquish feelings of spite and complaints, and to stretch out elegance and leniency to the people who have violated them. In embracing these ethics, generosity, sympathy, and pardoning, humankind opens the way to an existence of exemplary nature and temperance. It is an excursion loaded with difficulties and hindrances, yet enlightened by the directing light of heavenly insight and beauty. As humankind strolls this way, they are helped to remember their inborn respect as offspring of the heavenly, called to focus as reference points of light in a world yearning for adoration and empathy. Thus, with hearts receptive to the heavenly tune of sympathy and beauty, humankind leaves on an excursion towards honesty, an excursion directed by the immortal standards of consideration, compassion, and pardoning. In each thoughtful gesture, in each snapshot of sympathy, in each current of pardoning, humankind moves nearer to the heavenly, exemplifying the consecrated substance of their Maker and enlightening the world with the brilliance of their upright deeds. Title: Divine Reprimand, a call to protect and steward the earth in the sacrosanct embroidery of presence in the midst of the sensitive equilibrium between nature's rhythms and the ensemble of life that flourishes upon the earth. There repeats a serious admonition from the heavenly. Notice the results of eagerness, disdain, and savagery, for they plant seeds of obliteration that take steps to unwind the actual texture of creation. Tune in, dear youngsters, to the dire supplication for protection and stewardship of the earth, for its destiny is entwined with your own. Covetousness, similar to an unquenchable monster, gobbles up everything in its way, abandoning a path of destruction and misery. It blinds the eyes to the excellence of the normal world, darkening the intrinsic worth of each and every living being with the voracious quest for abundance and power. Let not the charm of material wealth cloud your judgment, darlings, for genuine overflow lies not in the frame of mind of assets, but rather as one of all life upon the earth. Scorn, similar to a toxic substance that saturates the dirt, defiles the actual quintessence of presence with its harmful presence. It separates networks, breeds struggle, and cultivates a culture of ill will and dread. Let not the flares of disdain consume your hearts, dear youngsters, for in the hug of affection and empathy lies the antitoxin to the difficulty of scorn. Embrace variety as a wellspring of solidarity and allow thoughtfulness to be the cache of your collaborations with each other. Brutality, similar to a tempest that seethes unrestrained, abandons a path of pulverization and obliteration. It breaks lives, cracks networks, and scars the earth with its injuries. Let not the pattern of savagery sustain itself, darlings, for the way to harmony starts with every individual heart. Take rather the way of compromise and absolution, and allow sympathy to be your directing light in the most obscure of times. For a really long time, humankind has deliberately ignored the situation of the earth, taking advantage of its assets without respect for the results. In any case, know this, dear kids, the earth is definitely not an endless wellspring of overflow, yet a delicate biological system that requires your consideration and stewardship. Let not eagerness, scorn, and brutality be the inheritance you leave for people in the future, yet rather, let your activities be a demonstration of your obligation to save and safeguard the earth for all creatures. The opportunity has arrived for a significant change in cognizance and acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of all life upon the earth. Allow empathy to be your compass as you explore the intricacies of presence, and let worship for the earth be your core value in all that you do. For in the conservation and stewardship of the earth lies the way into a manageable future for a long time into the future. Notice this admonition, dear youngsters, and allow it to be an impetus for changing your souls and psyches. For the destiny of the earth rests in your grasp, and the decisions today will resound through the records of time. Pick carefully, darlings, and let your activities be directed by adoration, sympathy, and a profound love for the valuable endowment of life upon the earth. Title: A Commitment of Trust. Embracing reclamation and otherworldly re-establishment. My darling youngsters, in the embroidery of mankind, I see the strings of blemish woven complicatedly together, shaping a mosaic of defects, deficiencies, and slip-ups. However, in the midst of this intricacy, I offer you a commitment of trust and recovery that rises above the limits of reality. In spite of your flaws, your disappointments, and your offenses, I offer you the endowment of trust, a reference point of light that sparkles brilliantly even in the haziest of evenings. For I'm a lord of renewed opportunities, of endless leniency, and of ceaseless love. Regardless of how far you might have wandered, regardless of how profoundly you might have fallen, I stand prepared to greet you wholeheartedly, to pardon you of your wrongdoings, and to direct you towards a way of otherworldly recharging and reclamation. Look for pardoning, darlings, and you will track down it. Hold nothing back from the groundbreaking force of my elegance, and you will be washed clean, purged from the messes of the past. Relinquish responsibility and disgrace, for they are loads too weighty to even think about bearing. All things being equal, embrace the commitment of recovery, a commitment that rises above human getting it and offers the endowment of a new beginning, a fresh start. Realize that you are never past reclamation, never past my scope. My adoration has no limits, no impediments, and no circumstances. An affection searches out the lost, the wrecked, and the oppressed, offering them comfort, mending, and rebuilding. In any case, recovery isn't just an exchange. It is an excursion, a course of change that requires mental fortitude, lowliness, and confidence. It is an excursion of self-disclosure, of confronting your deficiencies with genuineness and weakness, and of giving up them into my caring hands. As you leave on this excursion of recovery, realize that you don't walk alone. I'm with you constantly, directing your way, consoling your spirit, and enabling you to transcend the difficulties that lie ahead. Embrace the commitment of trust, my dearest kids, and let it fill you with fortitude and strength. Allow it to move you to look for absolution, to stretch out elegance to other people, and to take a stab at profound re-establishment every single day. For in reclamation lies opportunity, an opportunity to embrace your actual selves, to live legitimately, and to satisfy the reason for which you were made. Thus, don't surrender in that frame of mind of your deficiencies, however cheer in the commitment of trust that I offer you, a commitment that exceeds all logical limitations and perseveres forever. Consolation for self-reflection, in the calm murmurs of the spirit, in the midst of the whirlwind of the world, God's voice tenderly entices humankind to turn internal, to leave on an excursion of self-revelation and thoughtfulness. With words that resound with sympathy and understanding, he urges people to stop, to pause for a minute of break from the tumult of day-to-day existence, and to take part in the consecrated act of self-reflection. Self-reflection, similar to a mirror that uncovers reality concealed inside the profundities of the spirit, is an incredible asset for self-improvement and change. It is an excursion of investigation, an investigation of the complex passageways of the brain, the tangled hallways of the heart, where the reverberations of past activities and goals resonate with the clearness of truth. God prompts people to throw away the cloak of deception, to strip back the layers of self-duplicity, and to face the reflection of mindfulness with fortitude and lowliness. For in the profundities of self-reflection lies the way to opening the secrets of oneself, to figuring out the thought processes behind one's activities, and to knowing the way that prompts genuine satisfaction and reason. As people set out on this consecrated excursion of self-disclosure, God helps them to remember the significance of genuineness and credibility. He asks them to look at their activities and aims with clearness and genuineness, to defy the shadows that sneak inside the openings of the spirit, and to embrace the illumination of truth with open hearts and psyches. Self-reflection isn't an excursion for weak-willed. It requires boldness, weakness, and an eagerness to stand up to the pieces of oneself that might be awkward or excruciating to recognize. However, it is through this course of self-assessment that people can uncover their most profound longings, their most elevated yearnings, and their most genuine selves. In the delicate hug of self-reflection, people track down comfort and safe haven, a holy space where they can collective with the heavenly, where they can look for direction and shrewdness from the profundities of their own being. It is an excursion of self-revelation, mindfulness, and self-strengthening, an excursion that prompts a more profound comprehension of oneself, of others, and of the heavenly. Thus, with inspirational statements and backing, God welcomes mankind to leave on this holy excursion of self-reflection, to dive into the profundities of the spirit, to face the shadows that wait inside, and to arise into the illumination of truth with hearts open and spirits reestablished. For in the holy act of self-reflection lies the way to opening the secrets of oneself and finding the heavenly embodiment that abides inside all of us. Title: Divine Greeting. Embrace the force of supplication, reflection, and consideration in the sacrosanct safe haven of your spirit. In the midst of the tranquil offices of your being, there exists a heavenly greeting anticipating your reaction. Embrace the force of supplication, reflection, and examination. Hear these words as a delicate breeze that mixes the profundities of your soul, welcoming you to travel internal and interface with the heavenly pit that lives inside. My cherished kids, in the rushing about of day-to-day existence, in the midst of the bedlam of commotion that encompasses you, it is not difficult to neglect to focus on the tranquility that stays at the center of your being. Yet, know this, inside you lies a holy safe haven, a shelter from the tempests of the world, where the heavenly presence anticipates your presence with great affection. Notice the call to supplication, reflection, and examination, for it is a pathway to inward harmony, clearness, and fellowship with the heavenly. Supplication, similar to a murmured discussion with the heavenly, offers comfort in the midst of hardship, direction in snapshots of uncertainty, and appreciation in snapshots of delight. Allow your requests to be a genuine articulation of your most profound cravings, fears, and desires, realizing that I am continuously tuning in, consistently prepared to offer solace and backing to the people who look for it. Contemplation, similar to a quiet retreat into the profundities of your being, welcomes you to calm the fretful jabber of the psyche and go into the tranquility that lies past. In the quietness, you will track down lucidity, knowledge, and a significant feeling of association with the heavenly presence that quickens all of creation. Allow your contemplation to be an excursion of self-revelation, a sacrosanct journey to the deepest offices of your spirit. Awe, similar to a profound plunge into the secrets of presence, entices you to contemplate the more profound insights that lie past the outer layer of the real world. In the examination of nature, of excellence, of the miracles of the universe, you will find looks at the heavenly presence that penetrates all of creation. Allow your thought to be a wellspring of motivation, miracle and stunningness, as you wonder about the unpredictable embroidery of life that encompasses you. Darlings, don't misjudge the force of petition, reflection, and consideration to change your life and carry you nearer to the heavenly. In the tranquil snapshots of reflection, you will track down strength in the midst of shortcoming, astuteness in the midst of disarray, and harmony in the midst of strife. Allow your training to be a day-to-day custom, a holy contribution of commitment to the heavenly presence that stays inside and around you. As you leave upon this excursion of self-disclosure and otherworldly development, realize that I am with you continuously, directing your means and enlightening your way with the radiance of adoration. Furthermore, when questions attack you and fears take steps to overpower, recollect these words, and embrace the force of supplication, reflection, and consideration. For in them, you will track down the keys to opening the way to your deepest self and finding the heavenly presence that looks for you there. Title: Divine Affirmation. Embracing the consistently present presence of God, my dearest kids, in the huge scope of presence, in the midst of the recurring pattern of time, I stand as a reference point of steady presence, a consistent wellspring of solace, direction, and comfort for all who look for me. However, the preliminaries of life might weigh weighty upon your shoulders, and the tempests of vulnerability might seethe around you. Realize that I'm ever present, remaining next to you in each second, listening mindfully to the murmurs of your heart. Try not to uncertainty my presence, darlings, for I'm nearer to you than the very breath that fills your lungs. My adoration encompasses you like a warm hug, wrapping you in its soothing hug and offering you the strength and fortitude to confront anything that difficulties might come your direction. I'm not a far-off divinity, standoffish and unconcerned with the battles of humankind. No, I'm a divine being who tunes in, who cares, and who savors the experience of the genuine petitions and requests of my dearest youngsters. Your cries don't fall upon hard-of-hearing ears, nor do your supplications go unheard. I'm here, consistently, prepared to listen carefully, and my heart breathe easy in light of the information that you are never alone, even in your most obscure minutes. I'm the quiet friend who strolls alongside you through the valleys of misery and the pinnacles of wind. I'm the delicate murmur that directs your means, the still, little voice that expresses useful tidbits and consolation into your spirit. In the midst of delight, I cheer with you, my darling kids, commending your triumphs and giving you favors unfathomable. In the midst of distress, I sob with you, enveloping you by the consoling hug of my affection and offering you comfort amidst your aggravation. Along these lines, go ahead and to me in petition, my darlings, for I'm continuously tuning in, consistently prepared to gladly welcome you. Spill your guts before me, uncovering your expectations, your feelings of trepidation, and your fantasies. Realize that no request is too little, no solicitation excessively immaterial for my consideration. In the holy space of petition, you will track down shelter from the turmoil of the world, solidarity to confront the difficulties of life, and the affirmation that you are adored and unfathomable. Thus, let your requests be a steady discussion with me, a discourse of affection and trust that ties us together in a bond that can never be broken. As you go forward on your excursion through life, recollect the commitment of my presence, a commitment that knows no restrictions and perseveres forever. For in the hug of mine adoration, you will discover a true sense of reconciliation, delight in the solidarity to defeat each obstruction that holds you up. Challenged to beat difficulty in the cauldron of life's hardships, in the midst of the tempest, the fury, and the breezes that cry, God's voice punctures through the dimness, provoking mankind to transcend difficulty with relentless strength, flexibility, and confidence in its direction. With the voice that reverberates with the booming thunder of 1,000 whirlwinds, he calls upon people to embrace the difficulties that lie before them as any open doors for development, change, and reclamation. Difficulty, similar to a powerful mountain that weaves the tired voyager, is a trial by fire, resolve, and confidence. It is a cauldron where the flames of difficulty and battle refine the spirit, manufacturing it into a vessel of solidarity and flexibility. God moves humankind to defy difficulty with faithful assurance, to stand firm despite misfortune, and to rise up out of the blazes of difficulty like a phoenix renewed. With words that reverberate with the force of thunder and the tenderness of a murmuring breeze, God reminds humankind that misfortune isn't a discipline, yet an impetus for development and change. He encourages people to embrace their battles with fortitude and lowliness, to draw upon the wellspring of solidarity that exists in, and to confide in his direction as they explore the slippery waters of life's difficulties. Strength, similar to a powerful oak that endures the rage of the tempest, is the foundation of versatility even with misfortune. God provokes mankind to develop inward strength, to saddle the force of fortitude, assurance, and diligence, to face the hardships of existence with elegance and poise. He reminds people that genuine strength isn't estimated by the shortfall of affliction, yet by the mental fortitude with which one appearances it. Strength, similar to a stream that streams with steadfast intention, is the capacity to quickly return from difficulty, more grounded, not entirely settled than previously. God provokes mankind to develop flexibility, to twist, however, not break, to just and conquer even with life's difficulties. He reminds people that strength isn't a quality saved for the trivial few, yet an expertise that can be supported and created through confidence, constancy, and relentless assurance. Confidence, similar to a directing light that penetrates through the dimness, is the bedrock whereupon mankind's solidarity and strength are constructed. God provokes mankind to put their confidence in him, to have faith in his direction, his insight, and his steady love. Even in the haziest of times, He reminds people that confidence isn't a safeguard against difficulty, however, an encouraging sign that enlightens the way ahead, directing them through the tempests of existence with elegance and mental fortitude. Thus, with a voice that resonates with the force of 1,000 thunderbolts, God provokes humankind to transcend misfortune, to embrace the difficulties that lie before them as any open doors for development, change, and recovery. He calls upon people to gather the strength, versatility, and confidence that exist in, to endure the hardships of existence with elegance and nobility, and to rise out of the blazes of difficulty like a phoenix reawakened. Title: Divine Update. Confidence in the extraordinary force of confidence in the embroidery of presence. In the midst of the recurring pattern of life's sword encounters, there exists an immortal update reverberating through the hallways of time everlasting. Trust in the groundbreaking force of confidence. Hear these words as a delicate murmur that blends the profundities of your spirit, encouraging you to give up to the insight and fortune of the heavenly. My adored kids, in snapshots of vulnerability and uncertainty, when the way forward appears to be darkened by shadows and what's in store seems dubious, recall the force of confidence that dwells inside you. For confidence isn't just a faith in the concealed, yet a significant confidence in the intrinsic decency of the universe and the directing hand of the heavenly. Even with difficulty, let confidence be your anchor, establishing you in the midst of the tempestuous oceans of life's difficulties. Like a durable vessel exploring blustery waters, let your confidence help you through the hardships that take steps to overpower you. Trust in the insight of the heavenly arrangement, realizing that each deterrent is a chance for development, each misfortune a venturing stone on the way to satisfaction. In snapshots of gloom, let confidence be your light, enlightening the haziness and directing your means through the shadows. For even amidst the most profound distresses, there exists a good omen, a flash of heavenly effortlessness that can light the flares of flexibility inside you. Trust in the commitment of a more brilliant tomorrow, realizing that the first light generally follows the haziest evening. In the midst of choice, let confidence be your compass, pointing you towards the way of exemplary nature and truth. For confidence isn't simply a latent acknowledgement of business as usual, however, a functioning obligation to living in arrangement with the heavenly will. Trust in the direction of the inward voice that addresses you in murmurs, driving you towards your most elevated reason and most noteworthy potential. What's more, in snapshots of when, let confidence be your tune of appreciation, a sum of commendation to the wellspring, all things considered. For each triumph, each achievement is a demonstration of the force of confidence that dwells inside you, impelling you towards significance and directing you towards your predetermination. Darlings, don't misjudge the extraordinary force of confidence to shape your predetermination and manifest your fantasies. In the peaceful offices of your heart, where the heavenly presence stays, let confidence be your dependable friend, a signal of light that enlightens your way and fills your spirit with boldness and strength. For eventually, confidence overcomes any issues between the seen and the concealed, the known and the unexplored world. Confidence permits you to give up to the insight and provision of the heavenly, confiding in the innate decency of the universe and the endless potential outcomes that lie into the great beyond. So let your confidence be your aid, darlings, and let it help you through the hardships of life's excursion. For eventually, confidence will lead you securely home into the caring hug of the heavenly presence that looks for you there. Title: Divine Festival. Embracing the magnificence of variety and incorporation, my cherished manifestations in the embroidery of mankind, I see the lively strings of variety woven unpredictably together, framing a mosaic of societies, foundations, and personalities. Each string is novel, each variety particular, yet together they make a work of art of unrivaled excellence, an impression of my endless imagination and love. I praise the variety of mankind, for in it I see the wealth of my creation unfurling in the entirety of its wonder. From the transcending mountains to the moving fields, from the clamoring urban communities to the peaceful towns, each side of the earth bears the engraving of my adoration and care for every one of my youngsters. No two people are similar, and that is a reason for festivity, not division. Every individual conveys inside them a flash of divine nature, an impression of my picture and similarity, and is permeated with extraordinary gifts, abilities, and viewpoints that enhance the embroidery of human life. Whether you are rich or poor, youthful or old, dark or white, male or female, realize that you are esteemed and loved in my eyes. You're still up in the air by your presentation, your economic well being, or your accomplishments, yet by the profundity of your personality, the benevolence of your heart, and the adoration that you share with others. I call upon you to embrace variety and consideration, to see past the surface distinctions that might partition you, and to perceive the humankind that joins you. Allow sympathy to be your core value, sympathy your compass, and love your North Star as you explore the intricacies of human connections. Try not to let dread or obliviousness cloud your judgment or plant seeds of division and disunity. All things being equal, look for understanding. Tune in with an open heart and stretch out elegance and acknowledgement to every one of those you experience on your excursion through life. For in embracing variety, you honor me and show your appreciation for the magnificence of my creation. You perceive that each individual plays an exceptional part to play in the unfurling of my heavenly arrangement, and that every individual brings something important and indispensable to the table. Allow your networks to be spots of welcome and consideration, where all are embraced with great affection and treated with nobility, regard, and generosity. Allow your hearts to be loaded up with adoration, sympathy, and understanding as you try to fabricate scaffolds of fellowship and participation across the partitions that different you. As you praise the variety of humankind, recall that you are my dearest kids, joined in a typical power of profound devotion and shared mankind. Allow this acknowledgement to be the establishment whereupon you construct a world, the distinctions, and commence the inborn worth and poise of each and every person. Recharging of agreement in the sacrosanct quietness that encompasses the universe, in the midst of the murmurs of the heavenly breezes and the delicate stirring of leaves, God's voice resounds with gravity and beauty as he stretches out a solicitation to humankind, a heavenly pledge to restore their obligation to maintain the standards of equity, sympathy, and exemplary nature. With words that reverberation with the heaviness of endlessness, he calls upon people to revive the sacrosanct bond that joins mankind with the heavenly, swearing to walk the way of uprightness with enduring purpose and ardent dedication. The contract, similar to a sacrosanct settlement manufactured in the flames of heavenly love, is a demonstration of the persevering through connection among mankind and the Maker. It is a commitment, a guarantee to respect the sacredness of life, to support the reason for equity, and to stretch out empathy and thoughtfulness to all creatures. God welcomes humankind to recharge this consecrated contract, to reaffirm their obligation to carrying on with lives of honesty, righteousness, and moral fortitude. Equity, similar to the scales that gauge the deeds of the Spirit, is the establishment whereupon an agreeable society is constructed. God calls upon humankind to maintain the standards of equity, to remain against mistreatment and oppression, to support the privileges of the minimized and persecuted, and to take a stab at a reality where reasonableness and correspondence rule. Empathy, similar to a delicate downpour that feeds the dry earth, is the substance of heavenly love made manifest in human hearts. God urges humankind to embrace the ideals of sympathy, to hold nothing back from the enduring of others, to stretch out some assistance to those out of luck, and to develop a feeling of compassion and understanding towards all creatures. Uprightness, similar to a reference point of light that enlightens the way of the exemplar, is the core valley that leads humankind towards the heavenly. God welcomes mankind to walk the way of uprightness, to epitomize the temperances of trustworthiness, respectability, and moral boldness, and to take a stab at a day-to-day existence directed by divine standards. In re-establishing their pledge with the heavenly, God helps mankind to remember their holy obligation to be stewards of creation, to secure and protect the normal world, to shield the freedoms and poise, everything being equal, and to take a stab at an existence where harmony and congruity thrive. He calls upon people to carry on with lives of direction and importance, directed by the illumination of heavenly insight and elegance. Thus, with hearts elevated and spirits restored, humankind answers the call to re-establish their agreement with the heavenly, to promise their loyalty to the standards of equity, empathy, and honorableness, and to walk the way of heavenly love with unfaltering confidence and commitment. In this holy connection among mankind and the Maker lies the commitment of a world changed, a reality where love rules, and all creatures live together as one with each other and with the heavenly. Title: Divine Affirmation. commitments of help and direction for searchers in the vast field of the universe. In the midst of the bunch stars that enhance the sky, there exists a commitment that reverberations all through the ages. I'm hanging around for you. Hear these words as a delicate murmur that strokes your spirit, offering comfort and solidarity to the individuals who sincerely look for divine direction. My loved kids, in the maze of life's excursion, when the way forward appears to be clouded by shadows and questions, recollect that you are rarely alone, for I'm with you generally, a quiet watchman looking after you with unflinching affection and sympathy. Trust in the commitment of my heavenly help, for I'm ever present, prepared to loan you comfort and strength in the midst of hardship, in snapshots of vulnerability and disarray. When your general surroundings appears to go crazy, go to me and track down asylum in my caring hug, for I'm the stone whereupon you can fabricate your establishment, the consistent hand that guides you through the tempests of life. Trust in my insight, darlings, and allow it to be a directing light that enlightens your way through the obscurity. At the point when the weights of life weigh weighty upon your shoulders and the preliminaries of presence take steps to overpower you, realize that I am here to alleviate your burden and facilitate your weights. Give occasion to feel qualms about your considerations, me, darlings, and let me convey them for you. For my burden is simple and my weight is light, and I will give you rest for your tired spirits. In snapshots of uncertainty and gloom, when all trust appears to be lost and what's in store seems distressing, recollect that I am the wellspring of all expectation and the provider of all elegance. Trust in my commitments, darlings, and allow them to be a wellspring of solace and relief to you. For I have plans for you, plans to succeed you and not to hurt you, plans to give you trust and a future. At the point when you sincerely look for my direction with an open heart and a willing soul, realize that I will answer your requests and lead you along the way of exemplary nature. From the way, reality, and the life and the people who follow me won't ever stroll in murkiness, however, will have the radiance of life sparkling inside them. Darlings, trust in the commitment of my heavenly help and allow it to be a wellspring of solidarity and mental fortitude to you as you venture through the high points and low points of life's experience. For I'm hanging around for you generally, prepared to help and guide you with my unfathomable love and beauty. So dread not, darlings, however, cheer up and realize that I am with you, presently and forevermore. Title: Divine Order. Becoming stewards of creation for equity, harmony, and maintainability. My darling youngsters, in the tremendous span of the universe, I have shared with you a valuable gift, the endowment of creation. From the glorious mountains to the delicate waterways, from the rich woods to the overflowing seas, the earth and every one of its occupants are a demonstration of my vast love and imagination. However, with this gift comes incredible obligation, an obligation to go about as stewards of creation, really focusing on the earth and every one of its occupants with intelligence, sympathy, and foreknowledge. I call upon you not to notice this heavenly command, to adapt to the situation of building an all the more quiet and economical world for a long time into the future. As stewards of creation, you are called to be overseers of the earth, sustaining and safeguarding its fragile environments and biodiversity. You are called to be overseers of all living creatures, approaching them with deference, poise, and sympathy. Also, you are called to be advocates for equity, working resolutely to guarantee that all individuals approach the assets and amazing open doors they need to flourish. The ideal opportunity for activity is presently, my dearest youngsters. The earth shouts out for your stewardship, for your consideration and thoughtfulness regarding its requirements. The source of inspiration rises above limits of race, religion, and ethnicity. A call to join in a typical reason, to mend the injuries of the earth and make a fate of expectation and opportunities for all. Allow equity to be your core value as you endeavor to make an existence where all are treated with decency, balance, and poise. Allow harmony to be your objective as you work to determine clashes, construct extensions of understanding, and advance compromise and agreement among countries and people groups. What's more, let supportability be your watchword as you look to guarantee that people in the future acquire a world that is sound, lively, and brimming with life. Yet recall, my darlings, that you don't walk this way alone. I'm with you continuously. directing your means, rousing your activities, and engaging you to be problem solvers on the planet. Draw strength from my presence, from the information that you are cherished, unfathomable, and let that adoration be the main thrust behind your endeavors to make a superior world for all. As you answer the source of inspiration, realize that your endeavors are not to no end. Each little thoughtful gesture, each token of sympathy, each step taken towards equity and maintainability carries us one bit nearer to the universe of harmony, equity, and congruity that I imagine for every one of my youngsters. Thus, my dearest ones, let us hold hands and hearts in this hallowed mission to be stewards of creation, pursuing an all the more quiet and manageable world for all. Allow us to adapt to the situation with mental fortitude and assurance, knowing that together we can make a world that mirrors the excellence, love, and overflow of my heavenly creation. Deal of absolution. In the endless breadth of heavenly love, where leniency streams like a waterway and effortlessness flourishes like the stars in the night sky, God stretches out his hand of pardoning to all who look for it with earnest contrition. With the hearts billing over with sympathy and understanding, he welcomes humankind to embrace the extraordinary force of pardoning, a power that has the ability to recuperate wounds, repair broken hearts, and accommodate cracked connections. Pardoning, similar to a delicate downpour that washes away the stains of the past, is a heavenly gift gave to mankind by the Maker. It is an encouraging sign in a world defaced by agony and enduring, offering comfort and reclamation to all who will lower themselves before the privileged position of heavenly kindness. God expands his pardoning unreservedly and genuinely to the people who come to him with remorseful hearts, anxious to get some distance from their past offenses and walk the way of honorableness. With words that reverberation with the reverberation of heavenly love, God counsels humankind of his vast limit with respect to absolution. He reminds people that no wrongdoing is excessively perfect to be excused, no slip-up too offensive to possibly be recovered. Everything necessary is a true and genuine contrition, a getting some distance from the murkiness of the past and a readiness to embrace the radiance of heavenly effortlessness. God urges humankind to set out on a way of compromise and recuperating, a way that prompts completeness and reclamation. He welcomes people to stretch out absolution to the individuals who have violated them, to relinquish hatred and sharpness, and to embrace the groundbreaking force of affection and empathy. For in pardoning lies the way to opportunity, the opportunity to deliver the weights of the past and embrace the commitment of a more promising time to come. As mankind remains at the junction of absolution, God expands his hand in kinship and compromise. He offers his pardoning as an encouraging sign in a world tormented by division and difficulty, asking people to follow the way of adoration and sympathy that prompts solidarity and harmony. For in pardoning lies the commitment of a world changed, an existence where wounds are recuperated, hearts are accommodated, and mankind is joined in the hug of heavenly love. Thus, with hearts open and spirits lifted, humankind acknowledges the proposal of pardoning stretched out by the Maker. They embrace the way of compromise and recuperating, realizing that in absolution lies the commitment of recovery and recharging. With appreciation and lowliness, they set out on an excursion of change, an excursion directed by the illumination of heavenly elegance and the commitment of a more splendid tomorrow. Title: Everlasting Endowments. God's last beatitude upon humankind as the draperies of presence attract to nearby, and the embroidery of life spreads out its last strings. Let these words be a sacrosanct blessing presented to humankind, a demonstration of the timeless love and consideration of the heavenly. My darling kids, as you venture through the maze of presence, may you generally stroll in the radiance of my affection, directed by the delicate murmurs of heavenly insight that reverberation inside your spirit. May you find comfort in the information that you are esteemed unimaginable, held in the hug of an adoration that exceeds all logical limitations, coming to the outermost corners of endlessness. May the tempests of life be nevertheless delicate breezes that convey you along the flows of elegance, and may the hardships that you face be nevertheless venturing stones on the way to profound development and edification. For in each second, in each experience, there exists a chance for change, an opportunity to typify the most noteworthy excellencies of sympathy, generosity, and pardoning. As you explore the intricacies of human life, may you never fail to focus on the heavenly flash that dwells inside you, a signal of light that sparkles brilliantly in the midst of the obscurity. May you generally recall that you are not simple humans limited by the limitations of reality. yet divine creatures supplied with endless potential and reason. What's more, as the scene blurs into quiet tranquility, may you rest in the confirmation of my everlasting narration and kindness, realizing that I am with you continuously, directing your means and looking after you with steady commitment. May you find solace in the information that you are rarely alone, from the quiet presence that stays inside your heart, a steady friend on your excursion until the end of time. So go forward, darlings, with hearts loaded with appreciation and spirits burning with trust, realizing that you are honored, incalculable, and bound to exceed all expectations someday. Also, may the favors of the heavenly arrive now and forevermore as you walk the way of affection, light, and heavenly effortlessness. Amen. In the midst of the reverberations of pardoning, God broadens a commitment of reclamation, a heavenly confirmation that regardless of the profundity of one's offenses, there exists a way to profound restoration and compromise. With a voice suffused with vast empathy and immovable love, he guarantees mankind that his pardoning exceeds all rational limitations, arriving at even the haziest corners of the human spirit. At this time of heavenly beauty, God offers comfort to those troubled by the heaviness of their slip-ups, promising that through earnest contrition and a veritable obligation to change, each spirit can track down recovery. A commitment rises above the impediments of human comprehension, embracing even the people who feel shameful of pardoning and offering them the potential chance to set out on an excursion of change and restoration. For the people who have wandered from the way of exemplary nature, the commitment of recovery fills in as an encouraging sign, a directing light that enlightens the way forward, even amidst haziness and sadness. It is an update that regardless of how far one might have meandered, they're never past the range of heavenly elegance, and that the chance of recovery is dependably inside their grip as mankind remains at the limit of pardoning and recovery. God's commitment resounds with the force of 1,000 suns, filling the hearts of all who hear it with trust and appreciation. Commitment addresses the innate decency of the human soul, confirming that even notwithstanding difficulty and bad behavior, the potential for change and recharging is boundless. Thus, with hearts inspired and spirits reestablished, mankind embraces the commitment of reclamation, realizing that regardless of the hardships they might confront, they are rarely alone. For in the unfathomable love and leniency of the heavenly, there exists the commitment of pardoning, recovery, and a future loaded up with trust and probability. In the huge field of creation, in the midst of the orchestra of stars and cosmic systems, God's voice resounds with delicate power, calling upon humankind to stop and tune in. Like a delicate breeze that blends the leaves of a tree, his words coax people to turn their hearts towards him, to open themselves to the heavenly message that is going to unfurl. With a voice that reverberations through the halls of forever, God welcomes humankind to save the interruptions of the world and to adjust their brains and spirits to the holy discourse going to start. Call rises above the hindrances of language and culture, arriving at each edge of the earth with its immortal message of affection and direction. As humankind notices this heavenly call, a feeling of respect and expectation consumes the space, as hearts and psyches the same plan to get the insight and effortlessness that is going to be presented. At this time of heavenly fellowship, the hindrances that differ mankind from the heavenly start to disappear as people open themselves to the extraordinary force of God's presence. Thus, with hearts open and spirits responsive, humankind answers the call to consideration, prepared to set out on an excursion of otherworldly illumination and revelation directed by the delicate voice of the heavenly. In the loftiness of the universe, where stars dance in divine movement and worlds roll an enormous hug, God's voice reverberates with remarkable grandness as he recognizes the miracles of his creation. With words that reverberation through the breadth of reality, he talks about the complex embroidered artwork of presence, the whirling nebulae, the far-off cosmic systems, and the incalculable universes overflowing with life. With vast love and care, God uncovers his craftsmanship, welcoming mankind to observe the excellence and intricacy of the universe that he has molded. From the littlest particle to the biggest heavenly body, each part of creation bears the engraving of his heavenly craftsmanship, a demonstration of his boundless insight and inventiveness. As mankind looks at the wonders of creation, a feeling of miracle and respect makes them indescribably pleased as they wonder about the sheer size and multifaceted nature of God's handicraft. In the excellence of a bloom, the force of a tempest, and the tranquility of a twilight evening, they glimpse the greatness of the Maker, and their spirits are loaded up with wonder and appreciation. Through the affirmation of creation, God helps humankind to remember their place inside the grandiose embroidery, an esteemed piece of an immense and wondrous entirety. He welcomes them to embrace their job as stewards of the earth, endowed with the consideration and conservation of all life. As one of creation, humankind tracks down motivation and reason as they endeavor to respect and safeguard the valuable endowment of presence presented to them by the heavenly. As the heavenly discussion attracts to nearby, a feeling of worship and appreciation fills the hearts of mankind as they ponder the significant and sudden effortlessness that has been imparted to them. In the delicate rhythm of God's voice, they have heard reverberations of truth and reverberations of adoration, directing them on an excursion of otherworldly edification and development. With hearts inspired and spirits reestablished, humankind rises out of this consecrated experience with a profound feeling of direction and significance. They convey with them the immortal standards of equity, empathy, and nobility, embracing them as directing lights on their excursion through life. In the unfathomable love and benevolence of the heavenly, humankind finds comfort and strength, realizing that they are never alone in their battles and wins. With confidence as their compass and love as their directing star, they walk certainly into the future, prepared to embrace anything difficulties and favors might come their direction. Thus, as the reverberations of the heavenly discussion blur into the quietness of the universe, mankind stands joined in their obligation to carry on with lives of direction and importance, directed by the delicate voice of the heavenly. With hearts open and spirits inspired, they step forward into the obscure, prepared to embrace the experience of existence with